Hey, welcome to another episode of Living in and Experiencing Northeast Ohio. My name is Nick, and this is episode 2 after launching this YouTube channel here just within the last week. Part of what I want to do with this channel is to talk about Northeast Ohio, different things that Northeast Ohio has to offer, whether it be schools and the great outdoors, the national park, but also I am a licensed real estate agent and talking about the home market, the ups and the downs and the different processes, and really helping to educate people and come alongside them. Tonight is an episode that I wanted to do a long time. It is not about real estate, and it's not about the great outdoors or Northeast Ohio even, but it's about debt. And I want to tell our story based on a book that we read about 13 years ago and how we became debt-free eventually. And the book I'm referring to is The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. So to give you a little bit of background, Dave Ramsey, born in 1960, he's from Franklin, Tennessee. He actually went through bankruptcy back in 1988. A lot of people don't know that. And eventually through that, he started doing counseling and money counseling and came up with this program called Financial Peace in 1992. Eventually then wrote The Total Money Makeover. And everything is based around these, what they call 7 baby steps. And back in 2009, 2010 roughly, my wife brought this book to me after reading it. It's a really quick read and just insisted that I read it. I'm not a fan of reading. I hardly ever read a book all the way through, but she wanted me to read this, and honestly, I couldn't put it down. So I read The Total Money Makeover. You can find it online pretty much everywhere you look. You're going to find this book, and it goes through the 7 baby steps. I was convinced enough that after reading this book, it was worth giving it a shot. At that point, to be honest, we had, in the house that we're living in now, we built this house in 2002 or 2003, and so we were about 7 years in to a 30-year mortgage. We had amassed probably $25,000 to $30,000 in credit card debt. Our kids were still very young, no college savings really, except for a couple $1,000s. And I would have to guess we probably had 2 car payments. That's probably a pretty good bet, and probably next to nothing when it came to savings. So I think that's probably pretty typical in America. Lots of credit card debt, car payments, and living paycheck to paycheck, and no budget. The irony in this is that I was not an advisor, but a financial consultant. I worked for a company where I sold financial products, insurance products. I moved money around. I opened up IRAs, Roth IRAs, 403Bs. I actually graduated with my master's in business back in 2006, but I had never built a budget for myself, for my family, and that's where I failed. So I'm going to tell our story through the 7 baby steps, but that's kind of a picture about where we were at the time to give you some perspective about, I think we were pretty typical, no budget, living paycheck to paycheck, and lots of debt, and just swiping the card. So baby step number 1, it's having, or it's saving $1,000 for your starter emergency fund. You may have nothing. You may have what's in the checking account, and you just hope you make it to the next one. $1,000 is a separate tagged account or a separate line item, what have you. I do recommend you put it in a separate savings account so it's hands off. So most banks offer you can have checking and savings. I do recommend that you have a savings account and you get $1,000 in there. Do whatever you can to put $1,000 in there. Look around your house, sell stuff on eBay, Facebook Marketplace, get rid of it. Get $1,000. That's baby step number 1. Okay, that's usually not too difficult for people to do. Baby step number 2 is to pay off all debt except the house using the debt snowball. Okay, so let me back up and kind of push a pause button right now. And before we talk about debt, the budget. And nowhere in these 7 baby steps does it talk about a budget. But here's a principle to remember. If you don't tell your money where to go, it will go where it wants to go. You have to tell every penny where to go and have accountability to that. If you don't, you will not it won't work. Money will just disappear, and you know it will. So what we did is I used Google Docs, the Excel equivalent with Google Docs, and I built a spreadsheet. And I've now been doing this for 11 or 12 years. I essentially, money coming in, built the expenses. You know, you have the mortgage, you have electric, you might have gas that you pay every month, and all the bills. And you build that, and you identify everything, and then you create a ledger of all your expenses and the money coming out, just like the old school checkbooks when you had money, you wrote all your expenses. You have to identify where everything is. And if you can just track it, not even necessarily have a budget, but actually track every single penny for a pay period. So if you get paid, say, every other Friday, track everything. It'd be amazed about where money goes. And if you use cash, which is much more emotional than swiping a card, you're probably going to spend less. You have to build a budget. That's not part of the 7 baby steps, so I'm not going to go over that, but that is a critical issue that honestly I would be happy to come alongside you and help you and give you a basic framework about how that works. I've helped several people build their initial budgets, and my daughters, who are 21 and 19, are doing that very thing, which makes me proud that they're doing that. But they see where the money is, they give themselves an allowance, and then guess what? They have money left over that they can sweep into savings. And that's how you can pay your debt down. So, baby step 1, save $1,000. Baby step number 2, pay off all your debt except for your house. So if you think about all your debt, say you have 2 cars, 3 credit cards, student loans, whatever. Line those up, write them down, and in order of the balance. So if you have $25,000 of student debt, you have an $18,000 credit card, you know, whatever they happen to be, you got a Best Buy card that has $2,000 on it, whatever it is, stack them up from greatest to least. And the debt snowball concept is this: you attack the smallest debt first, and then you take that amount that you're paying towards that debt, it snowballs. Now you can pay more on the next one. Now, of course, you have to pay your minimums for everything, but you attack the small ones. And as you attack these small ones, it is motivating to attack the next one. Then that one's gone. Cancel the card, move on to the next one. So we attacked that, and in April of 2011, I deployed to Afghanistan, and it was, I believe, October 2011. One thing that Dave Ramsey does is he has a Dave Ramsey show, and he does things where people call in and people tell their story, and then they scream, "We're debt free," when they're to the point of everything but the house. So no car payments, no credit cards, everything but the house is done. They'll tell their story, they'll count down to 3, and they'll scream, "We're debt free." We actually got to do that in October 2011. I was in Afghanistan, my wife was here in Ohio. Dave Ramsey was on a book tour in Texas, if I remember correctly, and we called live on the air and did the debt-free scream. It's pretty awesome. So that's the goal, is to attack that. Now, when you're doing this, one thing that he does teach, and this is where I differ a little bit, so I'm going to tell you what he says and what we did. He suggests that you suspend all contributions to investments. So if you're contributing to a Roth IRA, a 401k, he says stop. Where I differ on that is I do believe that if there's a match at work, so say you get a 3% match on your 401k, I have a hard time with saying, you know, company, you want to give me 3%, but I don't want it. It's free money. So if I contribute pre-tax 3% and the company is going to match 3%, I'm really contributing 6% into my IRA and my 401k. To me, that's my personal opinion. That's what we did. We did not stop that. We lowered things down to the match and we kept on going, but we suspended all other investments. That way you free up as much money as you can to contribute to the debt snowball. Next thing, so now all your debt's paid for, cars are paid off, it's pretty awesome. Save 3 to 6 months in a fully funded emergency fund. So if you were to use that budget, that's very simple to do, because now you have a track record of what everything costs. You know how much you spend on gas. You know what a typical electric bill, gas bill, the phone bill, everything, cable, whatever it is that you have all of those things. Figure out what 3 to 6 months are, and you just dump money into that savings account, and that's what you call your emergency fund. So for us, I'm not even sure what that is for us, but we've always had this $10,000 ideal amount to have, just $10,000 in there. That way, if hot water heater goes out, the furnace, something major, the idea is that the emergency fund is to keep you from going back into debt, to getting a credit card, and to taking that, if you go and buy some big product, or even go to a company to get a new furnace, for example, they probably have some type of same as cash with a 25% interest rate program. You don't want to do that. The emergency fund will keep you from going back into debt and backsliding. So the idea is to get that 3 to 6 months of emergency fund. And if you ever have to tap into it, then replenish it, okay? So now we are debt free. We have 3 to 6 months of money saved up. Baby step number 4 is to invest 15% of your household income in retirement. So now what he recommends is that you go back into investing from completely suspending it. We never stopped it, but now he recommends to invest up to 15% of your income in retirement. Baby step number 5. Now, this is going to be different for everybody based on where you are in life. You may have no kids, you may have kids that are grown, you may have little ones, but his baby step number 5 is to save for your children's college fund. I'll admit, we didn't do this. We had a couple $1,000s in a few college savings plans, 529 plans here in the state of Ohio, and we didn't put much more in there. And what ended up happening is that through my military service, I was able to give my GI Bill to fund my oldest daughter's education, and she graduated debt-free this last year. Then my youngest daughter is going to school at a college where my wife works full-time, and she's also going into the Air Force as well. So both girls are going to graduate debt-free. We have never preached any college to go to by name recognition or Ivy League schools or anything. We've just, the girls have stayed close. And college expenses for a lot of families are massive. Just hasn't been the case for us. And the GI Bill paid for one, and my wife working on campus for my youngest daughter has funded the other. So both girls will graduate debt-free, and we didn't have a college savings fund. But that's just us. And if you don't start that early, that's going to be tough to catch up on because college is so expensive. That's baby step number 5. Baby step number 6. This is the big one. This is awesome, and this is what we get super excited about, where we still have to kind of pinch ourselves that we actually did it. Baby step number 6 is to pay your home off early. So if we go back to 2003 when we built this house that I'm sitting in now, we built this house. My father built it, and from the beginning we had a 30-year loan, and somewhere in there I think we did refinance based on interest rates, things like that. And I think we reduced the term a little bit. I forget if it was to 20 or 15 years, I don't recall. And at some point we wanted to add on a 3rd-car garage and finish the room over the garage, which is where I'm sitting right now. We took a home equity line for that. I don't recommend those, but we did it. That is basically taking equity or value in your home, and the bank gives you a secondary loan to fund that. So we did that, but then what we ended up doing, because all of a sudden we had 2 mortgage payments, one was smaller, but usually an home equity line is variable, so it's moving and flexing with the market, and a variable loan in today's market with interest rates going up, I'm sure is painful. So we eventually, what we did was we got rid of that loan and we refinanced and brought that into the main mortgage. So we went back to one payment with less money going out every month, but then we went down to a 10-year loan. So we really buckled down. And when we did that with a commitment to round up to a higher number. So we never, ever, ever paid the amount of the mortgage from day one. Never did it. We paid more. We rounded up. We paid at least one payment extra per year. So in the end, I think we refinanced twice. We had the home equity line. It did help that I was on recruiting for 5 years. It did help that I got redeployed again in 2020 to the Horn of Africa, and which created a little bit more tax-free income, or we could throw more money at the house. But just this past July, 19 years into an original 30-year loan, we paid the house off. So we made the final payment. So there we are. Now, I will admit, I've been totally transparent in everything that I've talked about tonight. I told you back in baby step number 2, you pay off everything but the house. Then you move on to baby step 3. I will tell you that we have taken a few car loans, which really kind of puts you back to baby step 2, but we've never gone back to credit cards, ever. We know that that is an Achilles heel for us, that is a slippery slope to have credit cards. We do not, absolutely do not charge up credit cards. It is a non-debatable, we do not do it. So for the cars, we have. And I can tell you today that there is truly debt-free. So, because when we have had the cars, we have attacked those and paid them off in under a year. So we've gone after them guns blazing. So it feels good to owe nobody anything but essentially the tax man. I guess other things that I would tell you, other tips to attack this. Oh, let me go back. Baby step 7, I almost forgot. Baby step 7 is to build wealth and give. Or as Dave Ramsey likes to say, live like no one else. So live today like no one else, eating beans and rice or rice and beans, which is something Dave likes to say. So tomorrow you can live like no one else and and to give and to help others, and not necessarily to accumulate wealth and to pile that money up in the bank, but to really be able to live without the burden of debt and owing somebody, but also the ability to help others and to give back. And whether it's the local communities, your children, where you happen to worship, whatever it happens to be, but to give and give back. A couple tips. One thing that definitely did upset some of our girls along this journey when we were really excited about the debt snowball, paying our house off early, is if it's not bolted down and you haven't touched it, you need to sell it and get rid of it. So going through your closets, going through the basement, there are people that have so much stuff that could be useful, and it's amazing what people will buy. Recently, I wanted to get my wife a new laptop, and we have a desk or a regular computer in our kitchen, but the deal to myself was if I'm going to get her that laptop, then I'm going to sell the one in the kitchen because we will truly have no use for it anymore. So instead of just taking something old and putting it on the shelf and replacing it with something new, commit to get rid of it or donate it or do something with it. You know, these clothing shelters, especially here in Northeast Ohio, they're, especially this time of year, they're looking for coats and clothes and things. We have so many clothes and so many homes that could go to things like that. Or electronics or different, like I had a silver trumpet that I played for many, many years. Sold it on eBay. That was several $100s, went straight to the house. We had a digital keyboard that my youngest daughter played for many years and took lessons, but she hadn't touched it in about 3 years. She was sad when we sold it, but we sold it, and now it's being used by another young lady. So go through, you can get rid of so many things. It's not about living with nothing or being a minimalist, but get rid of the clutter. Just get rid of it. And along those lines, if you have a ton of clutter, if you need help with that, my wife has a business called Life. Oh, I'm drawing it to a complete blank, and she's going to get me for it. Life Organized. Life Organized is what I believe. I just made her business cards. My apologies. But she has a business where she will actually come to you and help you organize your life, essentially. But closet space, help you consign things, get rid of things. Because let me tell you, when she does that here, and she gets into our closet and I come home from work and she has been hard at work in there, it is a breath of fresh air. And that is the kind of things that can help you even reduce anxiety, just removing those distractions and that clutter and that accumulation of stuff. Even if you don't have much, there is probably things around in different corners in the garage probably a lot of stuff, in the basement where you can get rid of things. So that's our story, 7 baby steps towards being debt-free. I will tell you, it's awesome. The goal, I wanted to get us debt free by the time she turned 50, and her 50th birthday was the very end of October. So paying the house off in July was pretty awesome. I'm 49, so getting to that point, and now the pressure as I move into a career of real estate and helping people. I just celebrated my 1-year anniversary in real estate just yesterday, and I am very much looking forward to helping people achieve their dreams, whatever they happen to be. Buying homes, selling homes, learning about the process, things like this, becoming debt free, not being a slave to the lender, and living today with maybe less, so that tomorrow you can live more fully and to give back. So thank you so much for the 20 minutes of time you gave me here, listening to our story with the debt snowball and what we read. Again, Dave Ramsey, Financial Peace. He does Financial Peace University. It's a class that you might be able to find locally to you. We taught it actually here in our small town. We have the resources that we can even refer you. And then Total Money Makeover. That's the book. You can pick that up, I'm sure, audiobook in your local library. It's been out for many, many years. It's a quick read. It can be life-changing for you. So if you ever need any help, whether it's budget creation or even, like I said, back into real estate, that's what I do. Feel free to reach out. Look down in the comments for contact information. And if you haven't done already, like, subscribe, share this video, and we will talk to you guys on the next one. Have a great night. Bye.